Hey there, I'm an animated Connor Walsh, which is kind of ironic because people say I'm pretty animated in real life. Anyway, welcome to Walsh Wednesday, my new/old podcast. Let me explain. Back in high school in 2013, I was pressured by some friends to do an impromptu solo acoustic performance in my cafeteria. Believe it or not, people really took to it. And it turned into a monthly musical series I did through the rest of high school. Who said High School Musical wasn't realistic? By college, I turned Walsh Wednesday into a web series, focusing on interviews surrounding community events, charities, and local entertainment in the Hudson Valley and capital regions of New York. Walsh Wednesday spawned several spin-offs such as the Walsh Wednesday Concert Series, Walsh Wednesday Spotlights, and Walsh Wednesday The Reflective Series before its hiatus in 2021. After that, I spent the last 3 years working in radio, honing my craft, conducting unbelievable interviews, traveling to fascinating places, attending mind-blowing events, and meeting some of my personal heroes. Now, with the help of some awesome people I've met along the way, I'm bringing Walsh Wednesday back bigger and better than ever. Let's stay curious, keep an open mind, and as always, I'm glad we get to spend some time. Welcome to Walsh Wednesday. On this episode of Walsh Wednesday, we will be focusing on the Music of the Hudson Valley book series. We will be talking to Hudson Valley photographer Joe Mack, John Newhall of the John Newhall Band, and Music of the Hudson Valley author and founder of Manual Magazine, Mercedes Barreto. Of course, big thank you to our sponsors, Impact PR and Communications, IABO Board 114, Duchess Beer Distributors, and Walsh Valuation. That being said, on with the show. Hey there, and welcome back to Walsh Wednesday. I'm really excited to be speaking with our guest here today. I've worked with him a few times in the past with other studios or whatnot, but this is his first time with Walsh Wednesday.
Yep.
So really happy to have you here.
Glad to be here.
We have photographer and co-author and collaborator of the Music of the Hudson Valley book series, Joe Mack. Volume 2, of course, available now. Joe, how you doing? Happy New Year to you.
I'm doing great. Happy New Year. Happy birthday this last week.
I was also just about to say that, too.
Yep.
It was, what, 26th, 27th?
28th.
28th. I mean,
it's crazy in my family. It's like my son's in November, my grandson's in November. I'm December 28th. My wife is January 10th. Then you got Christmas and New Year's in there.
Yep.
So it's a busy time of the year for us.
I understand that because my mom's birthday is January 4th. So when coming up with the Christmas presents for her, it's always, okay, what are we saving for Christmas and what are we saving for her birthday?
One year we decided to celebrate my birthday in July. That took care of all those problems.
July?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, why not?
Why not? Absolutely. Are you a summer person? You prefer summer?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. I personally love the summer.
Yep.
That's my favorite time of the year. Heat might be like for me, but I just love the longer days.
Yeah.
That's the big thing.
The heat never bothers me. I mean, I worked on a golf course for a couple of years, and it was like, I was used to it.
There
I
you
loved
go.
it. Yeah.
You ought to talk to my dad, big time golfer and everything.
Yeah.
What golf course was it?
West Point.
Oh, really?
When I was in college, I worked there summertime.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Dad played there plenty of times.
That was a great job for summertime.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
No, Dad lived Cornwall, so
okay.
he was there plenty of time.
Yep.
All right, but we weren't here for golf.
Nope,
we're here for music in the Hudson Valley. We could do a whole other episode on golf if you want.
About.
But, of course, as I said, the Music of the Hudson Valley book series is taking the Hudson Valley by storm right now.
It is. I can't believe how many people tell me, oh, yeah, I heard about it.
And it's fantastic.
Yeah.
I remember the first time we talked about it when Volume 1 just came out, and I had no idea you were a part of the book series. And people were telling me, it was like, hey, you got to check out this book. Have you heard this book yet? And then when we talked, it was like, oh, shoot, I knew you, but I didn't know you were a part of that.
Yeah.
So Volume 2 is out now. I'm lucky enough to be a part of it, so thank you.
Yep.
And but it is doing so great. I can't wait to get my hands on the copy of it. I've only seen drafts, so I can't wait to see the final copy. So I really got to ask you now, we've talked about this before at other programs, but first time on Walsh Wednesday, why make this book in the first place?
Okay, that's a good question. So I'm a photographer. A lot of what I do is music photography. I do real estate photography, but what I love to do is music, shooting bands. So if a band hires me to shoot them, I do the shoot, I send them their photos, and then I give them the good news that, do you want an interview in a music magazine? And who's going to say no, right?
No.
And Mercedes does a magazine. So then I send Mercedes their email, send them some contact info, give them a little bit about the band. She does the interview. Sends them a link, now they're in the magazine. So at one point, Mercedes says, why don't we do a book with people that we've interviewed? I go, sounds good to me. So then she started going through the list of people we've interviewed, asked them if they want to get involved. They'd send her back a few more photos, talk a little bit more about how it's going to go down, and then they're in the book.
So easy.
So now it's a good selling point for me. When I'm pitching what I do to a band, I go, look, if you hire me for the shoot, you'll get an interview, you'll be in the book, and then we're doing we haven't talked about it yet, but we're doing the live show at Daryl's, and if these two shows go well, they said there'll be more Joe Mack Presents Music of the Hudson Valley. So you got a shot at playing at Daryl's too.
And that's huge.
That's huge.
For anybody who doesn't know anything about Daryl's House, it is owned and run by Daryl Hall, of course, of Hall & Oates. Such an amazing venue.
It is.
You've had the pleasure and the honor of working with them.
A little over 2 years now.
2 years now. Yeah. And the photography that you do is incredible.
Thank you.
Definitely recommend checking that out. We'll have links in the description of this episode of it because Joe does a lot of great stuff with Daryl's House and on your own when you work with other bands as well. But the collaboration that you have, not just with Daryl's House, but also, as you said, with Mercedes Barreto, with Talent Manual Magazine.
Right.
So cool. Obviously, I know this story, but a lot of people who are watching now don't know it. How did you get in touch with Mercedes in the first place for this to happen? Because she's not local.
No, she's not.
Yeah.
One of the things, the way I run both of my businesses, whether it be the real estate or the music, is I live and die by Facebook. I'm always looking for somebody to connect with on Facebook. So one day this thing comes up about Mercedes, and I read what she does and what it's about, and I sent her. A friend requested her, sent her a message. I go, we should team up. You do what you do, I do what I do. They blend well together. I'll be your Hudson Valley rep. And the rest is history. That's been 5 years now.
5 years. And where is she again? Argentina?
She's in Argentina, right? Buenos Aires.
Argentina, of all places.
Yeah. So somebody will go, Joe, did you ever meet her? I go, nope, never met her.
Not in person, at least.
Not in person. And she doesn't think she'll get up this way anytime soon, but we talk every day.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I just think that is so cool. Especially, what they say, social media can be such a curse, but at the same time, it is such a tool.
It's a tool for business.
It is an incredible tool. Yeah. And I love what you said about Facebook, too. I have done more business through Facebook than I've ever done through LinkedIn.
Oh, yeah.
Or any
forget
of
LinkedIn.
No. There's a place for it, but I don't know, at least in the entertainment industry, Facebook. Yeah. Facebook is our LinkedIn.
The only thing I've ever gotten from LinkedIn is a lot of birthday greetings. That's it.
Did you get a lot of it? A couple?
Oh, a lot more from Facebook.
There you go. Yeah, no, Facebook, absolutely. Facebook's good about alerting on the birthdays. But that is, again, so cool. So if these couple shows go well, there will be more shows to come. That would be awesome. So, of course, the ticket links will be in the description.
Yep.
So let's talk about these shows coming up now. With your connection with Daryl's House, I was really able to help you out, get in there.
Yeah.
So tell us about the process. Tell us what we can expect out of these shows, who's coming, and how we can rock out with
Okay. Like you said, Daryl's is an amazing place. It used to be, the place around here was the Chance. Everybody wanted to play the Chance. Great lights, great sound, nice stage, and they're gone.
I know.
So it's like now if you're playing someplace, you're playing in a bar up against the wall, there's no lights, there's no sound. So Daryl's is it, When I started when I had the idea to put the live event together, I thought Daryl's wouldn't go for it. Even though I had a connection with them, I figure, they're up here, we're down here.
Yeah.
So I went to, who did I go to? The Colony. They wanted me to pay for the room. Well, I'm not doing that. I went to the Pearl Moon. They were thinking about it. I went to Silk City. They didn't really want to talk about it. So I said, I'm just going to have to bite the bullet and get my contacts with Daryl's. So I wrote to my contact, and they go, that sounds like something we might be interested in. She gave me a list of people to forward the email to, sent it out, and after a series of back and forths, they all finally agreed. I had to send them a list of who we wanted. Originally, I planned on one show with like 6 acts, 6 or 8, however many were in the book. They didn't want to do that, and I can't blame them. That's a lot to
that is a lot to try to do, especially in the first run.
They said, send us a list of who you wanted to be in the show. So I did, with links. So then they vetted the people. A couple they didn't care for. A couple others said they weren't interested. Believe it or not, I had one band said they weren't interested in playing at Daryl's. I don't know why.
Okay.
Another one of the bands I won't mention because it was kind of a bad situation. Originally, it was going to be 8 bands. I'm telling all these guys, you'll do like a 20-minute set. When it got knocked down to like 2 bands per show in this one band, he goes, now I got to play more than 20 minutes?
Your
Yeah.
band.
You want to play at Daryl's? So we kind of parted ways at that point. I mean, we've kind of made up.
That's good.
Yeah, I don't like leaving things like that. So we settled on Misfit Toys and Liberside. I've shot them both.
Both great bands.
Liberside, I shot them at the Chance. Where did I shoot Toys? I don't remember.
It's funny. I actually worked with Misfit Toys for, I believe it was the Diabetes Walk of the Hudson Valley. I was one stage. They were the other stage.
I remember Tapped. I shot them at Tapped. She's got like She's got an acoustic group, which is basically the same group without a drummer.
Okay.
And I was blown away by her voice. I mean, halfway through the set, I walked up to her. I go, "You got a hell of a voice."
Oh, she's good.
She's amazing. So
also worked with her on the Lifted project too.
She's so happy about being in the show. Anyway, so Liberside was at the Chance, and I was really impressed by them. So I asked them if they wanted to do it. Heather wanted to do it. Everybody's good. So Heather will go on first, do about a 45-minute set, 45 minutes to an hour. Then we'll do the Liberside. The only thing that Daryl said was they didn't want them bringing in their own equipment. They wanted them to use the back line.
Oh, the house equipment. It
makes it so much easier.
Yeah.
So everybody will be doing that. Show starts at 7, doors open at 5. Should be a good night.
Nice.
A really good night.
And that's the first one. That is on Wednesday, January 22nd.
Right.
Wednesday, of course. We like that.
Wednesdays.
And then the next one is the next week.
The following
week later.
Yep.
And that's when you have John Newhall and Natasha B., right?
John and Natasha. John, I really wanted to get in because I've worked with John. John, to me, and I tell everybody this, he's the new hot thing in the area. He really
He's doing
is.
great.
Oh, my God. The personality, the talent, the stage presence, it's just, he blows me away.
No, so good. We went to college together,
Yeah.
and I could see from the very first open mic I saw him in, it was like, oh, we got something special here. And he was a freshman. I think, I was a senior when he was a freshman or a junior when he was a freshman. Either way, a couple of years difference, but still, incredible, incredible.
First time we worked together, he goes, "Joe, I want you to do some photos." I go, "Where do you want to do them?" He goes, "I don't know, maybe on the streets of Newburgh." I go, "Streets of Newburgh?" He goes, "Yeah, let's do it." So we had a ball. We went downtown, shot him on Broadway, shot him on Liberty Street, shot him by Washington's headquarters, got some cool shots of him crossing Broadway. And that was the first time we worked together. Then I did another session with him at, Hodgepodge Studios in New Windsor.
I've heard of it, but I've never been there.
Now and then when I need an indoor spot to do a shoot, I'll get that room. Mm-hmm. And his prices are ridiculous, $25 an hour, 2-hour minimum. And he's got a back line too.
Yeah.
But we didn't need that because it was just going to be stills.
Yeah.
So I shot him there. That was another one. Then he asked me to shoot him at the Falcon. He performed there one night with a guy doing cajon, and he played guitar. That's actually the first time I saw him live, and I was blown away then, and even just being solo. And then he contacts me about this show on Friday. He goes, "You want to do it?" I go, "Absolutely, I want to do it." So he's got this show lined up, and I guess January, February, March, and April, he's got Friday nights lined up all through the beginning of the year.
Wow.
He wants me to shoot all those too.
Good for him.
So he's going to be busy. I'm going to be busy. It's going to be nice.
And we'll be talking with John in just a little bit, so stick around for that. But that's so incredible.
Yeah.
No, John is doing so good. But then, of course, Natasha B. She
oh,
has such a legacy here. And she's relatively young, too.
She's young.
So it's not like she's been around forever. She's made a name for herself in a very short time. Her voice is phenomenal as well.
Yeah, powerful. A good stage presence. First time I shot her was at the Chance. Vern Room from... the band's out of my head right now. Anyway, he hired me to shoot the whole show, and she was one of them. All I knew was Natasha B. You know what I thought she was? A hip-hop act. From the name, you know? Boy, she's far from a hip-hop act.
Oh, no,
my God.
Absolutely not.
All the musicians in her band are great, and she's got some voice.
She could sing just about any genre.
Yeah.
No, her voice really is incredible. Yeah, no, I've seen her... been on the bill with her a couple times. Number of times at the Chance. She's really good friends with Eric Dalton, who I've done a lot of work with.
Right.
And powerhouse. Absolute powerhouse. So, of course, you have all four of those artists that are going to be playing Daryl's house.
Yep.
The first on the 22nd, the next one on the 29th. Great way to start the new year.
Right.
How can people get their tickets for this event?
Well, those links are so long for me to say what's in it. It's ridiculous. But if you go to the website for Daryl's, you don't just look for Daryl's House. Look for Daryl's House Club. Go to the shows listing, and then put in. Well, let's say you want to go to John Newhall. Just type in John Newhall in the search, or go to the to the date. Click on the thing about buying tickets, and then you can buy them right there.
Of course.
Right
Sounds
online.
good.
Yeah.
Fortunately, their calendar is pretty straightforward. So
it's real easy.
You look for the date. Yeah. You got it. Again, those dates are January 22nd and January 29th. Not to mention, of course, we'll have it in the links, all the links and information in the description of this.
And the price is amazing. Normally, a tickets at Daryl's is like $45, $50.
Yes.
We're only charging $10 and $15.
And that's impressive.
It is. I got them to lower it just to get everybody in there.
Yeah, especially for the first time. You want to make this a welcoming thing, and you want to be able to create something that will have a good longevity here in the area. So with that, I really want to talk about highlighting local music. Here you are, you're doing all this work with a lot of local artists, along with touring artists, people who are coming in as well. And, you know, this collaboration that you have, not just with Mercedes, not just with Daryl's House, but everything all together. Why focus so much on this local music when you could easily be trying to shoot for all the stars out there? Why focus on the local stuff?
I'm a local guy. I grew up, I was born in Newburgh, raised in Newburgh. I'm living out in Walk Hill now. I've been a musician since probably I was 13 years old, playing in the area. So I've got a love of music and a love of the local music scene. My son's a musician. He's got a band. He's got a solo act he does. He's putting together a yacht rock band too. So that's going to be another thing for him. I got to do some photos for him. And I just like keeping the music thing going and help support the scene. Do what I can to help the bands get their promotion material out there. And I mean, you need it. I can't stand when I see on somebody's page is cell phone shots.
Yeah,
they're terrible. They're out of focus. They're dark. They're just terrible. And for what I charge, it's ridiculous. I charge next to nothing. And why not get some photos, good photos,
get some
professional
nice
photos?
Shots. Yeah. Absolutely. And it really builds up their credibility.
Oh yeah,
it builds up your credibility.
Yes,
it has all of that. And here you are as somebody who is a musician yourself. You get it.
That's how it started. Yeah,
you absolutely get it. And I find it's so much easier when you work with somebody who gets it and is with it to some degree, and it makes such a difference, and it really helps to promote all these things. And you never know. Some of these people you're working with, they might skyrocket at some point.
Absolutely.
And it's good to have these this networking and all these connections. So going back to the book now. So Volume 2 is out.
Yes.
You can get that on Amazon. There's a few other retailers that you can get it from as well.
A lot of places are carrying it for some reason.
Yeah. It's good. It's a good thing. So you can get it on all these places, of course. What can people expect out of the bands? We're looking at about 10 bands each book?
I think she does 6, 8 bands.
Okay.
So Volume 1 is out, Volume 2 is out. She's already working on 3 and 4.
So good.
So we'll put another list together of who's in the book or who we want to get in the book. And then I'm going to make sure, like I said, the first time through with Daryl's, they weren't so happy about some of the acts. And I don't want to put the act, the musician through that of maybe thinking they're going to be in and then they're not. So I'm going to we're going to work together, and when she says, how about this band, I'll say, yeah, keep those. And how about this band? No, let's not use those guys because they may not make it if they're in the cut for Daryl's.
Yeah.
And I don't want that. I don't want them to feel bad that they didn't get it.
No, understandable. As one of the musicians in it, I understand. There are a lot of artists, a lot of great artists that have good name in the area. And also, you got to think about Daryl's House and what they can accommodate.
Exactly.
As somebody who's worked in backline, who's worked on sound and tech and crew, I understand the limitations that you can have with these things. So, no, it makes sense.
Yes.
But the fact that just, all these people are getting into these books, myself included, it's just so cool. And one thing that Mercedes is promoting is people like buying this in bulk and then they can sell at their shows.
Right, using it as merch. Yep.
That is huge clout to offer all these people. Did you expect that there would be such a positive response this quickly in these first couple of books?
Not at all.
Yeah.
It blew me away.
I'm
really happy about it, but it blew me away. I never she said, let's do a book. I'm going, yeah, okay, try a book. But now look, now look where it went.
I know. You're working on volumes 3 and 4.
Yep.
Volumes 1 and 2 are doing great. As we said, they're on multiple platforms for books.
Yep.
International, too. I saw a number of European ones. Obviously, Mercedes is in Argentina, so
Latin American stuff too. Amazon it's really impressive.
She's got some connections in England too, I think. So
yeah,
stuff's going on over there.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
got to do with the book.
The UK stuff is insane.
Yeah, yep.
Really incredible. So I'm really excited to. So again, thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Like I'm really excited to be
You're
a part
welcome.
of it. But I'm also really excited to help highlight and promote this because there is such great talent here. Yourself, Mercedes, and everybody who's featured in this. I'm super excited about these shows. Again, Wednesday, January 22nd, Misfit Toys in Liberside. Wednesday, January 29th, John Newhall Band and Natasha B. They're both at Daryl's house. Joe, you'll be there.
I'll be there.
So you can meet Joe. You can shake his hand.
I'll have the hat
and
on.
all
Just
that.
look for me.
There you go. So Joe, before we wrap this up, do you have any last little thing that you have to say about the book, the show, literally anything?
Well, no, I don't think so. I think we got it covered. I thank you so much for having me here to help promote it. Again, I'm not making a dime on this. I told Daryl, give all the money to the bands. It's a lot of work getting it set up, a lot of work doing it, a lot of work after the fact, but I don't care. It's all about the bands and getting them the money that they deserve. I don't need money. My pleasure is in taking the pictures and then letting people see them and they like them and I'm happy.
Beautiful. Joe, thank you so much for being here on
Thank
Walsh
you very
Wednesday.
much.
I appreciate you. I'm Connor.
I'm Joe.
And as always, we're glad we get to
spend some time with you.
Hey there, I'm the ad ref, and I'm calling a timeout on today's episode to tell you about this week's sponsors. First of all, let's throw it to Philomena in the booth. Philomena?
Thanks, Connor. I'm Philomena Finelli, CEO of Impact PR and Communications and a media maven, which is a fancy way of saying that my team and I help companies get in the news, transform leaders into thought leaders, and cut through the clutter with messaging that matters. And we do it all with a smile. Our agency was named the Woman-Owned Small Business of the Year for 2024 by the Metro New York District Office of the U.S. Small Business Administration, and we received the Gold Stevie Award for Women-Run Workplace of the Year, which is an international recognition. But it's not about the awards, it's about the personal interactions. We at Impact PR and Communications pride ourselves on crafting meaningful, results-driven public relations campaigns that are tailored to meet and exceed our clients' goals. If you want to learn more and talk to my team and I, visit prwithimpact.com and let us know that you found out about us from Walsh Wednesday. Now back to you, Ad Ref.
Thanks, Philomena. Now it's time to tell you about an incredible basketball tournament that is coming to the Hudson Valley. Officials vs. Cancer is happening on Sunday, February 2nd at Dutchess Community College in Poughkeepsie. The first game starts at 11 o'clock and should go to roughly around 7. There's going to be t-shirts, concessions, raffles, and half-court shot contests. Only costs $5 to get in. Now, the 15 officials that are working the game are all volunteering their time. IABO Board 114 has raised more money for Officials vs. Cancer than any other board in the country. All proceeds from Officials vs. Cancer goes to the American Cancer Society. The day starts with Red Hook vs. Millbrook, followed by Colony vs. Kingston, then NFA vs. New Paltz, Haldane vs. Spack and Kill, and to wrap it all up, Saugerties vs. Beacon. For more information, scan the QR code that's on your screen now. Hope to see you there for Officials vs. Cancer. And of course, another big thank you to Dutchess Beer Distributors and Walsh Valuation for also sponsoring this episode. All right, y'all, play ball. Hey there, I'm Connor Walsh, and welcome to Walsh Wednesday. Thank you very much for tuning in. Continuing on with our discussion about the music of the Hudson Valley, we have one of those musicians of the Hudson Valley who is featured in the Music of the Hudson Valley Volume 2. Not to mention, he's going to be playing the showcase, the second date, January 29th, alongside Natasha B. With us from the John Newhall Band, we have the titular man himself, John Newhall.
Yes.
John, how are you?
I'm doing very well, Connor. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
This is lovely.
Happy to have you here, of course. And for those who don't know, we both went to the College of St. Rose. Rest in peace.
We sure did.
And you actually got a little snippet of what Walsh Wednesday was back in the day, and now here you are in the revival. It's good to hear.
Yeah,
good to have you here.
This is so fun. I remember being in college and seeing all the upperclassmen on the Walsh Wednesdays and thinking, oh, that'd be fun to do one day. And here we are.
Here
full
you
circle.
are. I
So-
think we did talk about it at one point until the college shut down.
we might have, yeah.
I feel like we did talk about it. It was
Sure.
like having your band on. What was it? Searching for Satellites?
yeah.
Yeah, I think we talked about it, but never got to happen because of the pandemic.
That's super possible. I pushed a lot of those years like out of my mind. But-
I'm sure there are certain. Trust me, there are certain years that I totally blacked out on as well.
Gotta be, yeah.
But I feel like that was the thing. But here you are. We're finally making up for it, whether
Yes.
it was actually talked about or not. But here you are, finally on Walsh Wednesday, talking about the John Newhall Band. And, of course, we're really excited about what you got coming up with the music of the Hudson Valley, with Daryl's House, all that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the music of the Hudson Valley, of course. Joe Mack, who is on earlier in this episode, he called you the next big thing here in the Hudson Valley. So that's definitely high
Oh,
praise.
that's awesome, yeah.
And you and I were both featured on it. We're two of the youngest people in the book. You being the youngest in general. You're
I
the
didn't know that.
youngest. Yeah, you're the youngest artist on it. And how's it feel to be included in this book series, surrounded by a lot of great Hudson Valley talent, and especially people who, have created a legacy, but you've created a legacy for yourself in a very short amount of time.
First of all, it's super cool, and I'm insanely honored that Joe would even think of me to put in a book. That's the coolest thing, and I said that to the other band members too when it was first kind of happening, and we're like, oh, we're gonna be in a book, we're gonna buy it, and give it to our moms and stuff.
Yep.
So it's so cool, yeah, it's awesome. I didn't know I was the youngest.
Yeah.
That's super sick. I guess we're getting it done. Yeah, it's cool. I mean, all of my life I grew up in Newburgh, and now I'm staying in the Hudson Valley. I'm here. I've seen a lot of these music acts kind of come and do their thing and really establish themselves. And I've kind of learned past year when I've kind of started all this that a lot of them, it's really tough, I feel like, to kind of get a really good footing through the door by yourself. You know, it's something that you can't do alone. You have to have these other people on your side, like the Joe Macks, for instance. He's been pushing me since I met him, and I'm insanely appreciative of that. But yeah, it's awesome. I'm super honored, and I know the other guys that are in it that are in the band too. So that's super cool.
Want to give a shout out to all the rest of the guys in the band. We would have loved to have had them,
Yes.
but this is not a very big space yet. We're working on that. But yes, shout out to your band members.
Yeah, so we have Joe on the drums, he's killer. We have Sean on guitar, who's also killer, and then Marco Salazar on the bass. And
Is he killer as well?
he is killer as well, yeah. And just a little tidbit, it's called the John Newhall Band, and it's not because it's all about me. It's simply because I was doing a thing, and I was doing my solo thing, and there was a venue that needed a full band, and then I lied and said I had one, and then we threw it together, and it really, really worked. And now I seriously feel like I'm just a fourth of what's happening, even though the name may say a little bit otherwise. But yeah, they're awesome, and they're the best at what they all do. Genuinely, yeah.
They were fantastic when I got to talk to those guys when we were at the radio station still. That was a fun time. So
Yeah.
it was great getting to meet them and interact with them there. You guys have a hell of a stage show. I saw videos of your performance at Newburgh Brewing Company that just happened.
Oh, yeah.
And that looked like a phenomenal show. And I want to really talk about that. So with that being said, you have Daryl's House show coming up on Wednesday. Good date, by
Yeah.
the way.
Walsh
On January 29th. You've been playing all these shows around the Hudson Valley. Hell, you've even had a couple of New York City shows and everything. What can people expect out of you guys at the Daryl's House show celebrating the music of the Hudson Valley?
Sure. I think as being so young, I guess something that kind of comes with that is that we're super high energy. I think that's something that we like about what we do, and we try to pursue that, especially stage presence wise.
Yeah.
When we were in the city, like you mentioned, we played a couple shows, and Sean on guitar, there was a little platform on in front of the stage that the sound guy was like, please don't go on that.
Oh, no.
He was jumping all over. Yeah. It was awesome. It was a lot of fun.
I'm sure it looked good, but the sound guy is ripping his hair out. I was like, oh my God.
I'm sure it was a sub or something that we shouldn't have stepped on, but
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we're definitely a high energy band, and I think we're super eclectic. I think we do a lot of blues stuff, and then there's some pop stuff, and then some singer-songwriter, and we all do different things in the band. I kind of had that singer-songwriter route, and a lot of the other guys come from the blues rock world, and then our bassist Marco, he's like jazzy. He's super jazzy. So it's a weird combo, but it's definitely unique the sound wise, I think. So I don't know. that's kind of what we do. It's fun.
It's fun.
Yeah, we
it's
enjoy it.
awesome when you can bring in all different kinds of music and synthesize it all together and really make a voice for yourselves.
Yeah.
Have you ever worked with Natasha B, who you're sharing the bill with, yet?
I have not. I've never. I have not. I have DM'd her a couple times, and she's lovely over DM, and I assume she'll be the same in person. Yeah, but I'm stoked to meet her on the 29th when we play up at Daryl's house. Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy that y'all haven't crossed paths yet. Phenomenal singer, and the band is terrific. I'm
Awesome.
sure you'll love working with them, and I wouldn't be surprised if this is the first of many collaborations with you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the plan. I think that's something I've learned quite recently is that the more you play with people and the more you play with different people, and rather than just being your show, like bring other people on, it just, you diversify your audience a little more, and it's so much easier to grow that way rather than just bringing your own people to your own gig X amount of times. So yeah, I'd love to.
I think that's a really good segue into talking about like the showcase that you just did at Newburgh Brewing Company. You had a good number of bands on that bill besides yourself, correct?
Yeah.
Could you tell us about how you managed to pull that together and kind of add on to what you're saying about playing with other people? Like how many bands? Like 5 other bands?
We had 4 total. So,
4 total.
yeah.
Okay.
It wasn't crazy numbers. We've done.
I heard 6 at one point. So
There were talks. They
Okay.
were thinking, but yeah. So what happened? The brewery's awesome. The Newburgh Brewing Company. They are fantastic to me in the band. There was a day, I think in August, that we played there for the first time in August, and we had something similar because they said, "Hey, here's a night, and here's 4 hours. If you could fill it,
4 hours.
here's
Oof.
like X amount of cash." And I was like, I do not want to play for 4 hours. So we had a night similar to what just happened, where we brought a bunch of other bands, and it really worked.
Nice.
And we've kind of gone through and kind of nitpicked, okay, like, because I was bringing the sound and I was doing all this stuff and I was promoting, so we kind of diversify and other people kind of jump in. And this past show that we just did at the live room the other night was awesome. I think that was probably the best one we've had there yet.
Nice.
Yeah, so it was a lot of fun. And I think the other bands, I'll just shout them out real fast.
Yeah.
Dizzy Parker was great.
Oh,
Four Story Fall was great. And Wickham Falls, who we've never played with before, they were really fun. And I think we all kind of sat down collectively after the show and said, I think those are kinds of bands that we want to keep playing with. So it was fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I only know Dizzy. I don't know the other 2. So I'm very interested to learn more about them.
I just kind of happen to know certain people from the band. And yeah, Dizzy's
Dizzy's
grinding.
been doing this.
Dizzy's grinding, yeah.
He's not much older than us, but I feel like he's been doing it forever because he really has been trying to make such a presence in the area. And
Yeah.
he's got good online content. I follow him and
Yep,
everything. Yeah, no, very creative dude.
Yeah, we split a bill with him not too long ago, and I don't even think it was him. It was his band.
Okay.
He was playing bass for something. I forget what it was, but it was outside in a field.
Oh.
And he didn't stay under the tent that the stage was under. He was running around and like,
Sure.
and I was like, we got to get that guy. So yeah,
I've seen him do that. I remember we shared a bill at the Chance one time, and
Oh,
yeah,
sick.
he couldn't stay still whatsoever.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was very inspiring and very very energetic. It was terrific. So yeah, so you had that show at Newburgh Brewing Company. You have the show at Daryl's house, which we're all excited for, and you have other stuff coming up as well. You have some other shows lined up here in the Hudson Valley and beyond. You have some releases coming up. Tell us about that. What can people expect out of the John Newhall Band?
I guess the first thing that I will say is that we have a gig before this will air, and it is on January 11th, and it's super unique because it is not really a live in-person gig. It's a YouTube streamed gig, I guess.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. There's a group of people over around here, actually. They're called Our Band Show.
Okay.
I don't know if you ever heard of them.
No, I haven't. I'll have to check them out.
Yeah, they're lovely. And I really hadn't either until not so long ago. So I reached out and said I had to get on there. But we'll be on YouTube streaming, and then it'll stay up there. So by the time this comes out, you could feel free to look up Our Band Show, John Newhall Band, and it'll be like an hour and a half worth of.
Let me know.
stuff.
We'll put it in the description
Yeah.
of this episode.
Oh, we're doing it.
Links and information in the description of this episode. Check it out.
Clip it.
We'll
Yeah.
try to have that in there. No, fantastic. So that's cool. That'll be fun. So sorry to cut you off, but yeah, no, that sounds great.
Yeah, that's fun. Yeah, and it's a super legit production too, so that'll be cool. And then this will air on the 15th, which is so fun. I'm so excited about that. And then quickly after that, on the 17th, we're actually putting out our second song kind of as a band. We had our first one in November, and then we've kind of taken the time to record and properly do it the right way. So this song that's coming out on the 17th, it is called Late Night Whispers, and we like it a lot, and I think we all kind of collectively think it's probably the best thing we've ever done, I think. So we're very excited. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's cool.
Very, very cool. Wow, really only the second.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I'm just so used to before the band fully started, you were releasing a lot of singles.
Yeah.
So so only the second one. So what's the vibe of this song then? Where'd you guys come from in creating it and writing it?
Sure. So again, this was one of the ones. It was one of the ones that we just started playing together, and it wasn't even the full band yet, and it was me and my friend Joe, who plays on the drums, who I speak highly of, and he was over at my house, and I was kind of showing him stuff that I never really finished because I didn't really know where it would go, and there was some stuff that he was like, oh, that's cool, and there was some other stuff that was like, that kind of sucks. And I was like, yes, you're right. And then I played like a good part of this song called Late Night Whispers, and it was just an idea that I had on a piano and with some terrible MIDI drums, and he was like, yeah, we have to follow that, and it ended up being a lot different in the end than it originally was, just because like Joe's playing the drums and Sean's playing the guitar and Mark was playing bass on it, so we're all taking our own things and we're all adding to it. So there's a super sick guitar solo in the middle of it that so I would have never done, and I remember someone saying the idea of it and being like, oh, that's a terrible idea, but I let it roll, and then it kind of worked super well, It was one of those. But yeah, we're hyped about the whole thing. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's funny what you said with the guitar solo and everything. When I go out and record with people, my mantra is always yes until it just totally burns to the ground.
Yeah.
I'm always like, if somebody says something to me, I'll be like, yeah, let's try it, because I'd much rather have the take than not have the take. And you never know what might come out of it.
Yeah. I'm very much one of those. I have a line that it's not coming to me, but whenever we're working together, I usually say the line. It's something like, I don't love the idea, but I'm willing to try it, kind of thing. There's some things that just intrinsically I would do that wouldn't work with the band, in a band setting. But then there's some things that I definitely would never have even thought of, that someone's like, "Can we try doing this?" And I'm like, "Yep, that's it."
Yeah.
So it's a cool thing.
It just goes to show you the collaboration really is very important about that. And that's one thing that I found really great about going to music college. It was specifically St. Rose, but I hope and think other people can get it at other music colleges. But I always felt that there was just a wealth of skill, wonderful musicianship, and the possibility of collaboration was just off the charts.
Sure.
And I feel like being at a music college, it is a rare blip in your life where you can just pull people from. It was like, hey, you, let's do this all together. Did that time at St. Rose, I know, though, kind of short in a way with the in-person factor.
Yes, yeah.
Since you spent more time during the pandemic than I did.
Sure,
I got out of there. You still
good
had
for
to
you.
go. You still had to go for a little longer. But that environment and that concept and mindset of collaboration, do you feel that any of that time at St. Rose helped lead into this?
Yeah, I definitely think, I think for sure, because at least it wasn't for me. It's not easy to work with people and just hear them out sometimes. Certain people I've throughout my life, and especially at St. Rose, like the band I was with, it clicked right away. Actually, at St. Rose, there was a program which I was in. You remember?
Yeah, the Rose record label.
So they had the music label, and then there was the subdivisions, and I was in the songwriting subdivision. So we ended up, like, every week we had to come in with a specific song, and there was like a prompt for it, or there was someone we had to work with. But there was always like a kind of a catch, and for me that was really tough, because a lot of times it'd be paired with like rappers, which is not something I would do.
Yeah, no, that's not typically your forte.
Yeah, no, I'll do it. Don't tempt me, dude. So some Childish Gambino one, I'm there. But,
there we go.
But but yeah, it was tough. But yeah, I definitely learned to kind of roll with things and think of the bigger picture more so than just where my kind of musical compass lies. You know, like, even though I might think it might not work or something, maybe it will in a different context. I don't know, but it just helps. It helps you roll with different people, which is nice. Yeah.
No, absolutely. And I feel that sentiment about it is tough to work with people. As a solo acoustic musician for so many years, I felt so scared to work with other people because I was like, I haven't really played with the band much. I feel like I'm an imposter in this situation. Yeah. But then when you finally do start working with everybody and bouncing ideas off of everybody, you totally forget that.
Yeah, and I find the more you work with like a certain group or a certain person, like you develop these roles. So something that I've noticed about myself is a lot of times I won't mean to, but I'll definitely take over these these pitches, like these moments. So we'll be practicing or playing or something, and I'll be like, stop, do this instead, where rather than just kind of let them do their own thing. So it's something I'm working on. But yeah, like it's fun. And it's lovely because I think when you sit down after a day like that and you sit down after like a release of other people and it's not just you, it's super fulfilling knowing, hey, I was just a piece of this and it's bigger than just me. So I think that's a feeling kind of I've been chasing this past little bit.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I think there's definitely a skill to being kind of like the conductor, the music director, something like that. Sure. You are a teacher too, so that kind of comes into play. Sometimes you're probably forgetting you're not in teacher mode, right?
Yeah. There's sometimes I am in teacher mode and I probably should be more like a teacher, But I should probably balance that.
But that is awesome. Of course, John, you can see him at Daryl's house on Wednesday, January 29th. Got all these new releases. The Our Band Show, you said it's called?
Yeah, Our Band Show.
Our Band Show. We'll make sure that we try to get the links for that. Sure. Otherwise, check out his other performances coming up, especially the one at Daryl's house. The Music of the Hudson Valley, Volumes 1 and 2 are currently available for sale, which in the description of this episode. So that's going to be all available as well. Volumes 3 and 4 are in the works. But John's already in 2, so you might as well check out Volume 2. So, John, before we have things totally wrap up, do you have any last little nugget for our listening audience?
A little nugget? Something I've been thinking about, something that's been on my mind a lot lately, is that today, that they were taping this, the Giants were playing the last game of the season.
Yep.
And it was looking a little bleak there. We got knocked out of the first overall pick, which I really wanted. And if we won today, it would have been knocked us all the way down to 9. But we lost, thank God. So
I know I was talking.
Number 3, yeah.
It's funny that you bring this up because I was talking to somebody about it. Just lose for the sake of lose. It's like don't even try. Just lose so you can hopefully start next year off better.
And I'll tell you what, Saquon, he sat. He did not break the rushing record, and that would have crushed me. That would have dismantled me, and I would have been a mess. And
yep.
Yeah, it's been a
rough
rough
year.
year.
You probably wouldn't be able to do this right now.
No, I would.
Yeah.
I'd hold it together for you, Connor. But
I appreciate it, John.
I don't know, man. It'd be tough. Yeah.
It'll be an interesting postseason football-wise. We'll definitely have to keep on that.
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
It's still going to be interesting nonetheless.
I got Buffalo. I'm going.
I have a very personal tie with Buffalo.
Sure.
We'll see if it happens. I hope it'll happen. Even if it doesn't, I think we'll still have a pretty good Super Bowl when the time comes.
Yeah, I agree.
I think there's a really high-playing season.
For sure. I would love the Chiefs not to be involved. That's all I have to say.
The Chiefs have become what the Patriots were all throughout our childhood.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah. I remember rooting for the Chiefs and thinking, oh my gosh, thank God, not the Patriots anymore.
Yep.
But what a
and then it takes over.
What a world!
Geez. Do you remember Sean Wendell from? Yeah. He when it was still the Patriots. He called the Super Bowl the New England Invitational.
Yeah.
The New England Invitational.
That's what it was. Yeah, I don't know. I'm as a Giants fan, I have good memories of playing New England.
I know there were a couple good years there,
yes,
weren't there? There were. Oh my God, very good. We just got to have a sports segment now here on Walsh Wednesday. We'll get back to you on that, but that's a wrap on this episode. But definitely check John out coming up real soon. I'm Connor.
I'm John.
And as always, we're glad we get to
spend some time.
Hey there, welcome to Walsh Wednesday. As always, I'm Connor Walsh, and I am so excited to be speaking with this individual today. We've been working together for, only a few short months, but it's crazy how much we've been able to get to know each other, how much we've been able to work together, and honestly, I really support her vision. She is doing so many good things when it comes to honestly, all different kinds of arts, whether it's musical arts, the visual arts, reading, all that. There's so many good things, and I'm so excited to speak with her today. Owner and founder of Manual Magazine and author of books such as The Music of the Hudson Valley, Volumes 1 and 2, and Landscapes, Poetry and Photo Book, Volume 1. All the way from Argentina, we have Mercedes Barreto. Mercedes, how are you? Happy New Year.
Oh, Happy New Year. I'm doing so well. Thank you for the wonderful introduction.
Of
It's a
course.
pleasure.
Absolutely. It's good to be talking to you again, screen to screen. But this is probably the best that we're going to be getting for a while because, as I said, you're in Argentina. So I got to start off with this question. Here you are, much further south than us. Why the Hudson Valley?
Initially started when I was getting my start with, the digital magazine. Currently, it focuses on lots of different coverage for certain bands of Hudson Valley. So that was a good half a decade ago. I started with the digital magazine source. And so somewhere along the way, Mack, event photographer of the Hudson Valley, reached out and wanted to collaborate with the digital magazine. And so eventually I looked into it and I realized, photo books are really a lot easier, more convenient, to do than like a regular novel. And knowing that there were so many bands that had photos from like Mack and and the Hudson Valley, as I learned to grow and appreciate the Hudson Valley, and I learned that there's lots of not only bands that just have like photos, but there's like a huge community and there's unity in all the music that goes on in the Hudson Valley. It's like a huge epicenter for music, and I felt that needed to be shared. So,
no, that's really incredible, and I think it just goes to show you how the music does go beyond just simply borders, oceans, all that. And that's really incredible. And I'm so happy that we've been able to connect. I'm so happy that you've been able to connect with all the Hudson Valley artists and everything. So yeah, you started these photo books, The Music of the Hudson Valley, volumes 1 and 2. Got what you got there? Probably about a couple dozen artists on that. Can you tell us what you've learned through this experience of interviewing all these artists and getting to connect with everybody and now to showcase them in this really unique way? It's awesome to be featured in a book.
Yeah, exactly. So on one end, I really learned that, bands are giving it their all. It's their dream, it's their passion, and they want to get the exposure because they know they really want to get their dream and their future and the reputation out there. So something really cool that I've seen that's been happening with the books is lots of, the exposure that the bands are getting, but also the books are getting lots of really good like press and exposure. At some point, I know Mack, I talked with him and he was saying how like, oh yeah, I talked to Connor and the book, everybody's talking about Music of the Hudson Valley, Best of Hudson Valley, and it's kind of, it makes sense, published on Amazon, right? So there's this thing on Amazon called expanded distribution, where there's going to be some online distributors that kind of can take your book and sell them through their retail site. And that's very exciting because it's basically it's like retail stores from all over the world. And so what happened I feel that it's such a good book, and it's so interesting and it just has a lot of potential. And for some reason, for some wonderful good thing, expanded distribution, took place. And so now I've seen that there's like several larger, medium to large, like online retailers for like booksellers, bookstores that are actually, featuring Music of the Hudson Valley volumes 1 and 2 and even Landscapes through their sites, which is very, very awesome. It's incredible because, there's absolutely no guarantee on Amazon that anyone at all is going to do that kind of thing. And also, not to mention, it takes a while and it's like, you have to be kind of lucky for that to happen, basically. There's a lot of luck involved, and there's a lot of quality of the work that you're doing involved, because if you have something that didn't really get out there, it didn't really make a splash, and then you have something that's just not viable, then it won't happen. But when you have a product like these books that have so much potential that are getting out there with the exposure, it's a no-brainer for booksellers and retail stores to be like, okay, we'll pick up on it and sell it through our platform as well. It's basically like they're just going ahead and saying, we see the quality, we see the potential, and so we want to be a part of it.
They believe in it.
That's very exciting.
They believe in it. Yeah.
Yeah, they believe in it. So literally all you would have to do is type in onto google.com the names of the books and kind of scroll down a few pages, and you'll see like there's different retail stores that are like featuring it and selling it through Amazon through their stores. And that's huge news. Not to mention also like, certain radios, certain magazines, like it's getting out there. The word is getting out there. And it's kind of like for example, there's one in Italy, one or two Italian like major retailers. There's like a few in the UK. I saw something like South Korea. I saw something like Guatemala, Germany, like so many retailers that are like picking up on something so interesting as like music in the Hudson Valley and being like, we want to help out and like, do our part. You would think that if it's called the music of the Hudson Valley, maybe people would say like, oh, well, we're part of Germany, or people, because how the world is, and if you don't have like a direct relation to something, sometimes people turn it off. But there's so much talent in the Hudson Valley music, and I think people see something shining through, regardless of whether or not you've ever been to the Hudson Valley, regardless of whether or not you've heard these musicians. I mean, the book sparks something in people to the point where they see the potential and they want to know. It's just something they want to read, and I'm just so happy. And every day there's like more retailers popping up.
That really is awesome. And it just goes to show, well, first of all, with you, never visited the Hudson Valley. You're in Argentina, but you found faith in what's going on in this region. And it meant something to you. It spoke to you. And now it's speaking to all these other people. And I was going to say, yeah, I've seen, stuff in South America, stuff in the UK. I didn't hear about the Italy and Germany. I didn't see that yet, but I saw a number of UK retailers. That's awesome that it's being picked up from all over the place. And it's just really incredible because as somebody who's from the Hudson Valley and grown up here, it's weird to think like, oh my God, we're kind of famous or in the way of, it's like, oh, why would anybody like be interested in us? But you're right. There is so much talent. There's so much music, and there's just a lot of altruism with it as well. We've talked about this before. There's not a lot of mean-spirited competition. It's all very friendly, and there's a lot of support here. And it's just awesome to see what you've been able to do and the support that you've been able to add to it. So thank you so much with all of that. Now, the books, if I'm not mistaken, a lot of the people who have been in the books have been featured on Manual Magazine, specifically Talent Manual Magazine. I just want to give a moment to talk about the website and the digital magazine for a second and how that was the first step, really, before the books even came around. Could you tell us about the online magazine portion of this all?
Of course. So going into the success of the magazine nowadays, it's been so diverse in all the different kinds of coverage that has been done. It ties into the photo books as well, because I'm doing a photo book with an individual who is, so the digital magazine, like I said, it started half a decade ago. And what happened was at one point I did like a backstage casting call to like, see if different individuals from like backstage.com might be interested in doing some sort of feature on Manual Magazine. And then this individual, his name is Davon Ross from the ex-NFL athlete. And he reached out and he was like, yeah, this sounds cool. I want to, do something with the digital magazine. And by the way, I'm mentioning this, because the articles are out there, so people can just type it in and read it. But basically, he's just this incredible all-around, like he's a God-knowing, all-knowing type guy who is like so true to his family and God in his own way. And he's kind of just a really good person, but he's also, in other words, recent success with the digital magazine. We did an article talking about his incredible work being a real estate mogul and a philanthropist, and he basically talks in the article on manualmagazines.com. He talks about how he was doing some like housing developments that would assist people with mental health and like homelessness issues. And so being a part of Manual Magazines means being able to help tell that kind of story too. Yeah. Stories where people can learn things that, and then another thing too is like I always want to focus and center myself on honesty and true, genuine news and that kind of thing, because I think it makes sense to be able to tell stories from people who truly have the meaning and the sincerity. For example, everybody knows that when they go to the homepage on, let's say, google.com or like bing.com, and sometimes like you have these articles pop up and they're just so random and not relevant at all, and it'll be like, oh yeah, how to make bananas taste better or something like that. And it's kind of like, how does that relate to me and anything at all that is relevant to my life? And so with Manual Magazines, I've even had people from lots of different parts of the world say, like, cheers to the director or whatever, because, we're going to keep an eye on this news because it's kind of, it's very authentic. I tell you something right now, there's been so many situations in which something has happened where it's like, I've had to tell the person, I want to, maintain the authenticity of the magazine. And, if this is done a certain way, I think we won't be able to do it this way. But in other words, I always want to be honest and try to convey the best perspective possible. And I think that's really important with that kind of, having a media source. I'm sure you're well aware, Connor, there's media sources that are very greedy, have all sorts of greedy deadlines and things. And they're just, that's the word, greedy. So what I'm offering with the magazine right now actually is more media coverage for businesses, entertainment, talents, anyone who just needs a plan to go by through like a weekly type coverage plan for journalistic solutions, which they can find more information on it. It's one of the services listed on my new website, mercedesbarreto.com. But the idea is that, it's sometimes, like, for example, if you have a business talking about a side of a business, for example, like the business wants journalistic coverage, and they talk about a side of the business that is not introduced to people yet, because they want to show that side of themselves to people so they feel better buying from them. Makes sense? Like, if you go to a business like Costco and they say something that kind of throws you off and it makes you feel bad about it, well, the idea behind the journalistic coverage is telling a story so people feel better about where they're buying.
The work that you're doing with the journalistic authenticity is fantastic. And there's not a lot of places that really feature that these days. So to be able to come across with something that is genuine, that something is authentic and something that's sincere really means a lot in today's media age. And one of the things that I also want to talk about with this media age, a lot of people kind of forget to step outside and to touch grass and to really enjoy what this planet is. And now I really want to talk about landscapes, poetry, and photo book. You worked with a couple of other people on this, and it's a really gorgeous book. I've seen the previews, haven't gotten my hands on it yet, but I've seen the previews. So cool that you've been able to work on this. So hopping from the music of the Hudson Valley to now working on landscapes and poetry, what made you want to dive into this project as well?
When I do photo books, there's so many different kinds. You can do a photo book on almost anything. And I wanted to kind of achieve another quality or category of photo books and under my belt. I came up with the idea, because I have a client of mine, she's awesome. He's the poet for the book, Dan Scannell. Doing a photo book kind of checked all the boxes for what he was kind of wanting to do with his poetry. For example, he wanted an option that was, a solution that would involve, copyright, having the copyright for his poems, because he didn't want anybody to be like, oh yeah, it's my poem now. And she said, if there was a solution so that the copyright for the poems is maintained, that's one thing. He also wanted an aspect of the book that, would meet his criteria. And I just suggested it, let's because there's this particular editorial or publisher called Dizzy Publishing that I was recommended to. And what they do is they have like a small one-time fee where if you want to, get your books on Amazon, they help you kind of just do all the formatting and everything. And that's an extra help. But we talked about it. We talked about all the options, and we started working on it. And it took us about 3-4 months. And he was doing the poems. Then, and a little secret, by the way, it's not mentioned in the book, but I think this would be cool to go over, is that the photos are actually mostly from the Patagonia.
Oh, wow. Nice.
So, yeah, now they're mostly Patagonia photos. And they're beautiful photos. And honestly, it's I know that once you get your hands on the copy, whichever kind of copy you're going to get, I think it's going to be something very impactful. It's kind of like, the nostalgia and like the sensation of like the seasons, because it's categorized not like in chapters, but in seasons. And then we're actually going to be working soon on a volume 2 of landscapes. Upcoming detailers, we might have more photographers coming up, more poets coming up, and it's going to be super awesome. And it's something to like, photo books in general are really just something to have like in a waiting room, on a coffee table, and what I would really like is for people to realize, that all these books are out there, that photo books, actually, I read it somewhere that photo books are making a boom in the industry. And that makes a lot of sense to me, because photo books, I've heard so many people mention, a regular novel will take you how many years to revise, draft, edit, proofread like a regular book, but it's been proven the work I'm doing, photo books take up to like 4 to 5 months to do, or maybe a lot less. All you need is the pictures, and then you need someone like me with a really good eye in design and organization to help you with it, because there's certain parts to a photo book where like you need to be very keen and have an eye and be like, okay, like this might not work in this way, but if you change or modify such thing, it'll be better in the photo book in the long run. Just technical things that like someone with a good eye for design will pick up on. And I feel that the thing is, what I tell you for sure is that there are lots of children's photo books. Those are all over the place. But what I haven't seen a lot of is this kind of photo book. And I feel that if I do a few more and just people start realizing that I'm a photo book author and all this, I strongly have the sensation that people are gonna, not only is it gonna be something that's gonna take off, but people are gonna realize they can get a piece of the pie and do it themselves. But it's a journey. It's not like it can happen overnight either. It's a form of expression, but it's also the majestic, like a majestic interpretation of nature, and I think that people would really like it. So if anybody's interested in getting Landscapes Volume 1, would be like to go on Amazon, look it up, and they'll find it. We have a video and a website too, but I guess the point being, there's lots of books out already, and I am working on some photo books now as well. In fact, we are working on preparation for Music of the Hudson Valley Volume 3.
Beautiful.
As well.
So good.
But with the photo books, I said, I'm taking on new projects, taking on new clients, and so like if there's people out there, who say that they've got like a story to tell, or maybe even if they want to do business catalogs, that kind of thing, we can definitely discuss it. And they feel free to message me, DM me, call me, so we can get started, because it's something that I think will make a difference in all aspects.
Absolutely. I totally agree with what you're saying. And I think it's fantastic what you've been working on. It's inspirational, and I hope people can get on board with this. Of course, we'll have all the links and information in the description of this episode, so you don't have to hunt very far for everything. We'll have the links for all the books, whether that's Music of the Hudson Valley, Volumes 1 and 2, whether that's Landscapes, Poetry, and Photo Book. We'll have the links to all that, along with links for Manual Magazine, so you'll be able to check out the various services Mercedes been talking about, and all the different articles that she has been writing that helped inspire these photo books in the first place. They're fantastic. She's done a couple on me. Heck, I'm even featured in Music of the Hudson Valley Volume 2. Again, thank you so much for that. I greatly appreciate the inclusion. Honestly, a huge honor, so I appreciate that big time. Mercedes, again, thank you so much for being on this episode of Walsh Wednesday. Greatly appreciate all the love and support that you've been giving me and the artists of the Hudson Valley, and I hope I can give at least just a little of that back in return, because you are doing such great work, and greatly appreciate you, Mercedes.
Connor, that's amazing, and I look forward to being back on the show whenever something is out again. Just call me and we'll figure something out, and it's been a pleasure.
I'm Connor.
I'm Mercedes.
And as always, we're glad we get to
spend some time.
And that's a wrap on this episode of Walsh Wednesday. Big thank you to our guests, Joe Mack, John Newhall, and Mercedes Barreto. Of course, big thank you to our sponsors, Impact PR and Communications, IABO Board 114, Dutchess Beer Distributors, and Walsh Valuation. Last but certainly not least, we have to recognize our first Patreon member, Jenna Hess. Thank you, Jenna. I love you very much. I can say that because I actually know you, and I appreciate the support. You can support this channel by becoming a Patreon member with memberships as low as $5 a month. With that, you can get behind-the-scenes content, your name featured in the credits of each episode, and access to the Spend Some Time chat. You can find that and more by scanning the QR code on your screen or by going to the links in the description. As always, I'm Connor Walsh, and I'm glad we get to spend some time.